All right, welcome back, viewers, to our next episode of Aspen Uprooted. We are excited to have you with us today. As you can see from our screen, we have an amazing guest today, an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, Ben Klinkel. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
I look forward to this, Ben.
Yeah, me too.
So let's start by just getting to know you a little bit.
Sure.
Where'd you grow up? What got you into this business? All that good stuff.
Well, I always tell people lack of childhood labor laws is what got me into this business.
Nice.
My grandparents partnered with my aunt, my mom's sister, and they had a restaurant in Deadwood. Actually, Pluma. There's a 1 mile stretch in between Lead and Deadwood, the junction of 385. There used to sit a restaurant called the Shamrock, and that was my first restaurant job at 8 years old. I'd stand on a milk crate and wash dishes. And maybe pour some coffee for bikers because there's always somebody that called in sick, so put in the 8-year-old. And I grew up between here, Black Hills, and Casper, Wyoming. My family's all from here. My dad's a physical therapist and got a great job with a physical therapy outfit in Casper. So we lived there for I think 11 or 12 years, but like I said, my family was all here. My grandparents and my Aunt Benita lived in the hills, and I was quite a bit older than my brothers, so I was kind of the odd man out, and I'd get sent to the grandparents for the summer. So I always did my summers here and got into restaurants that way. It was a young start, but it always put money in my pocket, and it was just fun to be around. The energy and the whole, I guess, culture of restaurant. It's changed a lot through the years, but a lot of it is exactly the same though too. So, that's what got me into it.
Yeah, for sure. I think most people's first job is in some sort of restaurant. I know I grew up in Lee Deadwood also, and my first job was at Burger King and then Paisanos Pachia up there, waiting tables and serving coffee and slinging eggs and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's something most people try to get out of the restaurant business as soon as possible. They find out it's not for them, but you turned it into a successful career. We can see you have several businesses here in the hills that most of our viewers have probably eaten at one, if not all of them. I know there's some of my favorite restaurants, as well as the new Pack Mule grocery stores, which are fantastic. I love that store in Hill City. So what got you in from kind of that entry level into the restaurant business to being a professional chef and then starting your first restaurant? Because I think, was Tally's your first one?
Tally's was my first restaurant, yeah. I did Tally's in 2009 after culinary school, and everybody does do some sort of restaurant, something or other. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. And for me, cooking was always just really cool. But I always did it here in the Midwest, and really didn't get to open my eyes to a lot of different cuisine until later in life, after I was doing some traveling. I tried to get out of the restaurants too. I did a couple other things. I did concrete for a while. Not a long while, but
that's hard work.
Yeah, that was a lot of hard work. But I made a lot of great friends. But we always ended up at restaurants, after work, or bar or something like that. I decided I was going to do some sort of military thing, and air crewman rescue swimmer was my title. I was signed up and on my way to Buds, and for some reason or another, it didn't work out. My dogs were off of their leash, and then that was a problem for the admiral in Washington at the time. They told me to clean my act up, and my act didn't get a lot cleaner than that. So I went a different direction. Went to culinary school, and that was, I think I was 24 at that time. So I had been in restaurants, and I was in Montana for quite a while after high school. Just being a snowboard bum, and of course, you snowboard all day, but then I would cook at night because you could pay for your season pass with your cooking ability, and there just isn't anything that I've really ever wanted to do that I couldn't also cook and have that pay for, you know.
Sure.
So it was always providing me the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to be living at the time. But yeah, I ended up back in Rapid City after a stint in California. I think I was being a driver slash cook for an elderly gentleman on the beach in Newport, and he was actually a part owner of a restaurant that I was working at in Montana, and one thing led to another, but it was all about cooking. And you know, the owners of these places were chatting on the phone about a sandwich I had made or something like that, and one place was shutting down, and the opportunity came in California, but always doing something cooking.
Sure.
You know, by the time I got back to Rapid, it was back to cooking. But I had, you know, after a year or two here, I felt like I was kind of stagnant in the food that I was making, and the menus that were around at the time. And this was 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. I was in my early 20s, but I had still put together quite a bit of experience in different restaurants for somebody of that age. But after the whole military thing didn't work out, I ended up going to culinary school. I went to Portland, Oregon, and went to the Le Cordon Bleu there, which that was it was a real up and coming school at the time, and Portland is a food mecca. So I really I got to culinary school and went out to eat quite a bit, and I figured out I really didn't know much about food or seafood or dining, and especially fine dining, and I really fell in love with that. I got on with a French master chef after culinary school, and his name is Philippe Boulot. He was such great timing. The year that I was there, he was knighted by the country of France as the ambassador of French food to the Pacific Northwest. Like
That's
the whole
awesome.
sword on the shoulder
Fancy.
thing and all that. They
Start
flew him
calling
back.
Sir after that.
Yeah. No, it was really a cool position to be in. So I got to move through his whole kitchen. I started working there after culinary school, and well, I was all day kind of guy, so I'd get up in the morning and either go to his place or had a different job. So I'd work 16 hours a day just trying to learn all I could learn in a place that just had so many things I had never seen before. And at the time, and still somewhat to a degree, Rapid City was a long ways behind what dining culture was all about. Wine there in the Willamette Valley, the whole wine and food pairing culture, tasting menus, pre-fees, all that kind of stuff was just the norm there, where you didn't hear about that kind of stuff around here.
Sure.
So that was really a great place for me to really fall in love with food, and it kind of put all the other ideas of other sorts of employment kind of out of my head, because I had already had so many years in a restaurant. You know, I knew the nuts and bolts of cooking, but all this fancy stuff, like that was new, and I loved it. That chef, he let me cook in his kitchen for a little over a year, and then he said, well, you know, if you want to be the best, and of course he didn't say it like, if you want to be the best, and his little French accent, and he said, you have to go to France, and he says that's where the best are, and you got to go there, and you got to learn, you got to live there and see the culture and smell the air and feel the dirt, and you know, he wasn't wrong. So he sent me that. Being knighted, they insisted that he have a program, an apprenticeship program. Well, I'll do that. So Yeah, so I was off to southern France, and I loved it there. That was, just a whole nother eye-opening experience to food and culture that I didn't know anything about, and so many people didn't.
Sure.
But yeah, that really was a great experience, and it was all just the timing of things was just really. It seemed like a destined sort of situation.
Yeah.
When I was in Portland, Anthony Bourdain came through doing a book signing, and he was friends with the chef there, and we got to hang out afterwards. When he does his book signings, of course, he goes to restaurants, and everybody at the restaurant wants to hang out with Anthony Bourdain afterwards, and so they put together a meet and greet sort of dinner after service, and we hung out, and it was him that kind of said, "Wow, you're from where?" And it's like, "Yeah, they just don't have much there." And yeah, he said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, now I'm going to France, and I'm going to learn everything I can there, and then I'm going home because they don't have this." And going to culinary school at the time, you want to be in Portland, in New York, in LA, in a big city where all these things are happening. But again, with the timing and my age, I could also see that if I'm going to do this as a career, I need to do it someplace where I can make money and I can have a viable business, and be a diamond in the rough would be a lot better than being a dime a dozen. And really, I was watching friends and colleagues just get chewed up and spit out by the big city business culture, where you have to be really cutting edge and really relevant, and it's a lot more difficult to do in a population of 2 million people.
Yeah.
So yeah, off to France. I worked in France for about a year. I went to Spain, San Sebastian, all on Anthony Bourdain's recommendation, a couple of emails, and it opened a lot of doors. So I ended up at Mugaritz in San Sebastian. It's a really amazing 3-star, Michelin 3-star restaurant. That whole area, the Basque region, was at the time, I think they had more Michelin stars in the area or per capita than even Japan. But
wow.
Yeah, that was just a great place to live and hang out and be a part of food culture.
Sure. Have you gone back to France much at all since then, or?
Not once.
Not once, yeah.
I've been pretty busy since I got back.
Sure, I imagine so.
No, I haven't. I spent a lot of time in France and then northern Spain. I've since got married and went back to Europe for our honeymoon, but I really wanted to visit places I had already been, but at the same time there's just so much more to see. So we went to Italy and did a big tour over there, but always about food,
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, that was an amazing experience as well. But yeah, coming back to South Dakota after France and Spain, I jumped in at the time Botticelli was still here. I jumped in there and cooked for about a year there, and then over to the Enigma. Spent some time there, and it was about that time that Ron Loftus actually had become a pretty regular customer, and just kind of a loyal customer who ate with us a lot. He said, "You need your own thing. You need your own restaurant." Well, he told me, "You ever hear of this Tally's?" And I hadn't. I mean, I didn't have any time to go out to eat, but a lot of people had, and it was for sale, and it was on the busy corner in Rapid City, directly across from the Alex Johnson, and that seemed like a pretty good spot to try and get a hold of. And my grandpa and I went in there and had a pancake, and it was busy. And he said, by golly, I think you could make some money here. And he had just moved into town and sold his ranch and needed a place to park some money for a while, so he made me a loan, and we paid him back pretty good over the over the years. But yeah, he really made it happen for us, and yeah, that was in 2009. We remodeled the place in 2010. It was a classic diner. You know, it looked like the diner you see on Seinfeld. It's a lot of maroon. It smelled like maple syrup and an ashtray.
Yeah. My dad always took me in there as a kid to get pancakes, and just the haze of smoke throughout the whole building, but great food and always busy, like you said. But yeah, you guys did a total transformation to make it very up class and chic, and so
it's funny because it's still just real comfortable and casual during the day, but you know, it was called the Bright Spot when 40 years ago, when the Winters owned it. But Tally Winter was the name and the face, and all the downtown business owners, well, they'd close up and go have coffee and smoke cigarettes at Tally's, and you know, they ended up changing the name because everybody just called it Tally's. So, but yeah, the windows really make that place. You know, it's like two different restaurants, and you know, they were never open for dinner, so that was kind of my in, was to make a dinner happen. And you know, we could do breakfast, and we kind of polished that up a little bit, and then opened for dinner, and just haven't looked back since. So yeah, Tally's really opened the doors for me for entrepreneurship, for learning business, learning Rapid City business, which, you know, that's really a big. It was the big stepping stone for myself, and I was fortunate enough that my mom was kind of wrapping up her career in nursing. She was the general manager of a pharmacy that was a nationwide pharmacy, and so she had some books skills and was able to manage the money, and that was kind of my grandpa's insistence too. He wasn't just going to loan me money. He needed my mom to watch the books and make sure that I didn't spend it all. So
sure,
that's kind of how that came about. Delmonico shortly after that. You know, that just kind of fell into my lap. A friend and other local chef had what he felt like at the time was too many irons in the fire, and he was focusing on getting what was Manchego open. That's since turned into Que Pasa. But yeah, that fell into my lap in, I think, 2012. Yeah, not too long after that was Klinkeltown, and we're still shopping for a permanent home for Klinkeltown, but it's in a truck, and we were in the square long enough to make an impression. So there's those burgers were good, and we had a lot of sandwiches and a lot of grilled cheese, a lot of salads that people still know about. Still, they'll come see us up in the hills in the food truck to do that burger again. So yeah, that's.
So tell us about Dakota Seafood. How you got involved in that? When you think Rapid City and you think the Midwest, you think I'm never ordering seafood because I'm going to get food poisoning. And so we all of a sudden have this amazing store that has fresh seafood brought in. Is it daily or almost daily?
Yeah.
And then you're obviously able to use that in your restaurant. So how did that come about? What inspired that? And yeah.
Yeah, that was just another, I suppose, twist of fate. Yeah, that store was the brainchild of Eric Sharp. He's a local chef and manager, entrepreneur, salesperson. He's kind of a culinary mastermind. He had been to many big cities, lived in, worked at, and he kind of modeled the place after a seafood store in Montana. And really, like you said, you can't get any further from an ocean than Belfouche, actually, and that's quite literally.
Wow.
So to have a seafood shop here is really, you're not going to have a lot of competition.
Yep.
So it was a pretty safe bet, and he did a real smart store. He had a small footprint. It was it's small square footage, so your rent is really low. It's a retail setting, so you don't need a lot of help, but you need skilled labor. You need to be a salesperson, and you need to have some knowledge of fish, which you don't find a lot of people around here that have that much knowledge of fish. So it's kind of tough to staff, but when you find that staff, then you take care of them. And, so yeah, he started that store, and I think it was nearly 10 years ago. And then he had a partner, and they didn't see eye to eye or something like that. In the meantime, I know all about the store, and it's building a clientele, and my restaurants are ordering seafood from there, but it's always a little expensive. And it was just nice to be able to put Dakota Seafood on your menu and help out another local business. But then, we had the whole pandemic thing kind of changed everybody's trajectory and kind of changed the way that they were thinking about going out, changed the way they're thinking about restaurants and dining, and it did that for us too. And we kind of thought, well, maybe we need to steer away a little bit from having so many employees and the whole dining situation, because this whole thing could happen again. And the first thing that Tally's shifted to was grocery. So when there weren't any customers coming, sure, you could get stuff to go, but what are we going to do with all this food that we're ordering for people that aren't coming?
Sure.
And what about our employees who are coming here, but the grocery store is kind of sparse and a scary place to go, but we've got plenty of food. So we've basically turned our menu into an online grocery situation, and that just kind of got us thinking that maybe grocery is a good way to go. And you feel like you go to bigger cities and you have so many more options, so many more I don't know, I guess marketing and personality are so much more a prevalent part of the grocery and shopping situation there. And so we really started thinking about and conceptualizing the Pack Mule. And the Pack Mule was the reason for approaching the owners of Dakota Seafood and trying to align either some sort of partnership or seeing if they had any interest in selling that business. And I mean, if you're going to have a high-end grocery store, you need fish, and that makes Dakota Seafood competition. So we don't want to have competition with the only seafood store around. So we either need to be working with them or own it. And in approaching that situation, it was the right timing for the previous owners to move on, and it was a good time for us to go in. But my email thing started getting a little long, and it was about that time I'm realizing, and my mom, who said, "Okay, you need an accountant because I'm done." I started realizing I was going to need more help. So that was when the vendors came in. Levi, who's been executive chef at Tally's, Delmonico, Klinkeltown for 14 years, was a real good friend. He had become a good friend over the years. His wife as well. They met at Tally's, and I had gotten married, and my wife was the assistant general manager at Arrowhead at the time. So we just kind of started thinking we've got enough talent here among us to do this. So approached Dakota Seafood, and they were ready to sell. So we took that on, and it ended up being a really good training for us. So Viola Venner heads up most of the management that happens between the ordering and, I mean, it's a difficult but fun puzzle to put together, trying to get seafood from all over the world, you know, as far away from its home as it can be. So she's taken that on and done a great job with it. We've grown through social media. We've grown through the ability to have a higher volume of purchasing, which, you know, ultimately gets us a little bit lower prices. So our prices can come down, that we can be in a competitive arena with places like Safeway and you know, so you go look at seafood at Safeway and then look at seafood at Dakota Seafood, and I feel like you're happy to pay just a little bit more, but not a ton more.
Right.
So we got to find that
quality better.
You got to find that that middle ground where, you know, people are paying a little bit more for the quality and for the fact that they don't have to thaw it.
Yeah.
You know, that's great. But yeah, then the whole idea with the Pack Mule was, you know, let's secure Dakota Seafood, let's grow it, and let's make it a part of, or at least the source of, a part of what we're selling at the Pack Mule. And getting into that retail game, and well, it's not a game, but it's it's definitely different than you know, full service restaurant.
Sure.
But the nice thing about it is we're able to kind of change what we're doing and change the I guess target of who our labor is, and it's a whole different workforce, and they're fun to work with. It's not as many challenges in that workforce. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Looking for and shopping on a larger scale is fun for us, you know. And in the Pack Mule in Rapid City is below 98 apartments. So you know, we want to do retail that focuses on people who are moving into an apartment. So you know, we're going to do, you know, remaining in that culinary realm. You know, people entertain at home, and we want to be a part of that. So you know, we'll have a bar down there that we call the Perpendicular. We're setting up a studio out of this bar that has 3 kitchens behind it. Those kitchens will be residential kitchens, not commercial kitchens, so that they're relatable. And all the products that we're selling in the Pack Mule will be using in cooking classes, demonstrations, different programs and events that we'll have. So, I mean, if you have 3 different kitchens and they're surrounded by a bar, well, some people can participate and have a glass of wine, and some people can spectate and have a glass of wine. And you know, you have these people sitting around your kitchens. Well, you just bring them some food, and you know, it opens itself up to a whole bunch of possibilities of good times, whether it's education or whether it's just a chef coming in to cook for people and show them what he or she does on a regular basis and how they do it. The products in the store are all kind of artisan based, so you know, local is ideal, but regional is fine. Global is great too. It just needs to be artisan. It needs to be high-end, high-quality stuff that we can get excited about.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's kind of the fun of it, is, you know, being able to shop for the things that we really like, so that we can bring them into the store and share them with, you know, people in the area.
Give us a new experience.
Yeah, as well as supporting local artisans. So you know, we want the produce area of the Pack Mule to basically be a smaller version of the farmers market. And you know, we want to bring in fruits and vegetables for a short part of the year, and then you know, we want to bring in too many, so that in our kitchens we have classes about preservation. You know, here's how you pickle, here's how you jar, here's how you can, here's how you ferment, here's drying, freeze drying. You know, all the different preservation techniques can be turned into classes and demonstrated at the Pack Mule by participating chefs, by grandmas, by, you know, whoever. I mean, the people that are selling products at the store, they want to come in and show a little bit of what they do. If they're at a goat farm and they're producing goat cheese or different lotions or different, a lot of things come from the goat milk, and they're able to come in and use our facility to have a little demonstration. Well, I mean, that's entertaining for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's really cool you're bringing all of this to Rapid City, and I know you see forums and stuff online and people are clamoring for a Trader Joe's or something like that, but really you're doing that, and maybe even to a cooler extent because it's more local, it's more up class, but it gives you that personalized feel, local feel, supporting local, and a place to hang out. I know we love going to Alpine Inn, but they always have a 2-hour wait. So what do? Well, now you walk down the street to Pack Mule, get a bottle of wine, hang out, share it with your friends. I mean, that's awesome experience that you're giving to the local people. So
yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the idea. And you mentioned Hill City. Hill City was and is smaller than the Rapid City store. We've just had so many different construction setbacks at the Elements building at 100 St. Joe that it's taken almost 3 years from the conception of the Pack Mule to actually, I believe we have contractors in there next week, shooting to be open by December 1st. So hopefully we can get Christmas shopping and really kick off the holiday season with a grand opening. October is going to be the 1-year birthday of what was intended to be the satellite of the Pack Mule in Hill City. So McGregor and Maine, the luxury lofts they have above there, there's 7 luxury lofts. So it mimics a little bit what Rapid City is. It's half the size, but the same sort of concept, the same idea behind artisan producers. But really we were spinning our wheels a lot, getting ready for the Pack Mule Rapid City, and we just needed to go. And the McGregor and Maine building and Isaac and Carmen presented that space as an option for us, and it really fit. It was just a cool building, brand new building in Hill City, and we're experiencing the normal growing pains of a young business and a young startup concept, and it's been a tough year. We opened in October in Hill City, so you opened up to the hibernation portion of that town.
Sure.
But really, the whole town is ready to be a year-round town.
Sure.
And all the push is for really having things to do all season long, or all year long, rather than just tourist season up there.
Right.
So we'll grow and adapt to what that takes to make it sustainable up there, to continue to do the things that we love. And that means bringing in different merch products. If that means bringing in different camping and cooking gear, we need to adapt to the area up there, find the things that sell, and then sell them along with the things that we love to do. So it's a different demographic. It's a different puzzle to figure out, but it's a fun one to do. So we have to pour a lot of drinks and eat a lot of food in the meantime to figure out how to make it work. So
sure. Well, you definitely have the best places for doing that.
Yeah.
I knew we could go all day with your background and all the businesses you're part of, but we're running out of time now.
Sure.
So we got a couple questions left for you. Number one, how many more times can we expect the amazing lobster rolls at Dakota Seafood this year?
Well, they're pretty successful, and it's a pretty fun time. I think the next one coming up is at Shipwrecks.
Okay.
Kind of making an event out of our friends at Shipwrecks, who are customers of Dakota Seafood and fellow local business owners. So we're doing that one, and I think there'll probably be 2 or 3 more even this year. But it's kind of a risky game too. You do it too much, and it's not as special. You don't do it enough, and then people lose interest. But we're finding that balance, and I think Rapid City can expect good lobster rolls pretty often out of Dakota Seafood.
You've seen the lines on Jackson Boulevard. It's definitely worth the wait and worth every penny. They're fantastic. I can speak from experience. It's just like, take my money. Can't get this anywhere else. So that's awesome. And what can we expect from you in the future? We know the new Pack Mule's opening in December. What else do you have cooking in the fire?
Well, yeah, we get that one going, and I feel like it's a very marketable brand. I think the idea behind the studio is to really create a channel, and the goal of these stores is to create a food culture that really is hospitable and approachable for everybody in the area. And it's fun to have something in your area of town, and as this town grows, it just offers more and more spots to be a viable place for a Pack Mule. So growth of the Pack Mule is probably what you'll see me doing for the next 5 to 10 years or so. We've got a spot that we're looking at right now out on 16, and that's looking like a good 2026 project. So
Cool.
Yeah, lots of new apartments up there, so
Yeah.
good area. So you're obviously very busy in the business side of things. Do you still get time to get in the kitchen and cook?
You know, I haven't been in the kitchen near as much as I've wanted to be, but it's really fun to watch new young people coming up and adhering to the standards that we've kind of put in place, and you know, watching just new creativity and seeing things grow around me. But I get to cook at home, and you know, I've got almost a 1-year-old now. He'll be 1 in October, so that's kind of occupied quite a bit of my time
Sure.
as well. So a lot less time in the kitchen for me, but you know, I think the Pack Mules really open up an opportunity for a low pressure, fun and inviting sort of cooking experience. So I think you'll find me in the kitchens at the Pack Mules, either doing a demonstration or a class, or maybe having a glass of wine on the other side. But
Awesome. Well, if you haven't had an opportunity to enjoy Ben's restaurants, check them out. Delmonico, Tally, Silver Spoon, Klinkeltown Food Truck. Did I miss any? And then, of course, Dakota Seafood and the Pack Mule's fantastic grocery stores. So thank you so much for bringing all of this to Rapid City, giving us an opportunity to experience your wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being on the show.
yeah, hey, thanks for acknowledging. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Ben.
absolutely. Until next time, we'll dig up another story from the Grove. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Aspen Uprooted.